Today, as part of the world events and the need, the urgent and absolute need to understand what it is all about, we're going to look at whose land it is when people claim that somewhere is their land and that they have absolutely all rights to take it back. Now let's look at the history of Israel. And I borrow this information from the Voice of Justice UK because it is reliable. So I read it to you. The terrorist group Hamas says that they are seeking to liberate Palestine from Israeli occupation, from what they claim to be Islamic land. First of all, the name Palestine was not the original name of that place. It was baptized Palestine by the Romans after they invaded Jerusalem and destroyed the temple. So let's examine this. Islam started in Mecca in 610 AD, as 7th century, after Muhammad proclaimed himself to be the latest and final prophet within the Abrahamic tradition, calling for absolute and total submission to what Muhammad said was the one true God, Allah. His claims, however, met with strong opposition in Mecca, and he fled to what subsequently became known as Medina. And there he confidently expected to find support from the large Jewish community there. That was already there because all Jews had been pushed away from their land after the Roman invasion. But unfortunately, the Jews didn't support him. So as armed opposition to him grew, then the Jews seemingly became special object of his hatred, culminating in their violent massacre and expulsion from the oasis in around 624 AD. Although claimed as a religion of peace, Islam, from its inception, has been founded on conquest, domination, and the requirement of absolute submission. If you read the Quran, that's I add on my own, it's not written in the email I read. The Quran says that peace is possible only with the Ummah, that is, within Islam. If you are a disbeliever, as the Quran calls it, you are not going to benefit from any peace. So I continue reading. But where the claim to Jerusalem as Islam's second most holy city come from? Are they entitled to anything to be with Jerusalem? Was Jerusalem conquered by Islamic invaders? No, it wasn't. According to Muslim tradition, the claim stems from Muhammad's visit to the city in a vision, shortly before his death. There Muhammad said he was purified in preparation for his meeting with God, and he was told by God, according to him, that Jerusalem would play an important and pivotal role in events leading to the end of the world. And actually, curiously, it is going to be, but not as Muhammad imagined. It is on this basis that Muslims assert their claim to Jerusalem. However, it was not until 1187 AD, that is on 12th century, that Muslim armies commanded by Saladin physically took control of the city. The current state of Israel was officially established in 1948. We all know that. Prior to that, the country had been ruled under British mandate for Palestine, while before that, from 1517 to 1917, the area was forming part of the Ottoman Empire, with still a significant Jewish presence, despite the diaspora. But it was overall sparsely populated, impoverished, and barren. The truth is that the land there was so poor that no one seemed to be very interested in living there, not at least until the Balfour Declaration on 1917, which announced British support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. In the same area, albeit reduced, that God had revealed to Abraham and his descendants as the promised land, written in the Bible, that where God gave the borders, and the borders of Israel today are very, very far from what God gave. It was, from God's point of view, it was wide. So, this land was in the Bible given to the Jews as an eternal possession. And indeed, the Jewish presence for over 3,000 years has been overwhelmingly attested by a growing body of archaeological evidence, with fresh finds being uncovered almost daily. So why, one wonders, has this once forgotten and neglected area become such a flashpoint and focus of hatred for Muslim militants? And now that the Jews have returned to their homeland, why can't Muslims accept what was the proposed two-state solution long ago and live together in harmony with the Jews? There are spiritual forces underlying that conflict. From the fall of mankind in Eden, God set aside the Jewish people as his chosen instrument for the redemption of all mankind, as God told Abraham that through you all the world will be blessed. The people's training was long and at times severe, but throughout, the Ark of the Covenant became the symbol and seat of God's abiding presence. The Temple of Jerusalem, where the Ark was taken to be housed eventually, became filled with his radiance, and the Holy Land overall became regarded as God's chosen resting place upon the earth. It is for this reason that Jerusalem has, down the centuries, been seen as so special, the one and only seat of God's invisible presence on earth. As Scripture attests that God implemented his plan of redemption through the birth of his Son in Bethlehem, so it foretells that at the final battle, Christ will return once more in glory to Jerusalem. Israel to this day remains a battleground because it is the one place chosen by God as a seat of his power, where he can implement his plan to save and redeem mankind. The first part of this plan was accomplished by the birth, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now it only awaits completion with the return of the Lord in glory. To Jerusalem first, and then to the rest of the world. Meanwhile, the battle continues to rage as Satan desperately fights through his minions to claw back control and frustrate the plan. That is what we are now seeing in Israel, a full frontal attack by evil on the land chosen by God. I stop reading that now and I come back to this issue. The Jews have always been massacred, and I'm sure you never thought about it. It started long, long ago, as recorded in the Pharaoh story, where Pharaoh decided that the Jews were becoming too cumbersome, and he ordered that all boys be killed. And it's even recorded in the Egyptian pyramids and tombs. But he couldn't succeed. And then after the birth of Jesus, there was an attempt by Herod to kill all the babies And many were killed, but Jesus escaped. And then come to the Shoah. 6 million Jews were slaughtered in cold blood. Very organized massacre. But yet, they are still there. And Israel is now their land. It just happened. So there is nothing to do about it. Islam came very late. And we know that the Muslims attacked and conquered Israel. And that's why the Europeans tried to rescue Jerusalem from their claws. It didn't go well, they didn't succeed. And so now, another attempt, after so many. Israel has never lived in peace. But I invite you to study history and possibly read the Quran and the Bible, and then you will get an idea of who said what should be believed, who says the truth, who tells the truth about it. So happy reading.